Am I the jerk for calling out my partner in front of their dad? I, 24-year-old female, have a boyfriend, 25-year-old male, who I have been dating for about 2 years now. We met in university, where both of us were studying engineering. He decided to change majors in the third year as he did not feel that he had any real passion for engineering and is now pursuing an English degree. I was very proud of him for this, as he seems so much happier with what he is doing now. Now he is approaching his third year of his English degree, and I just graduated with my Bachelor of Science in Engineering. Recently, we decided to stay at his parents' house across the country because his brother's wife just had a baby. I had met his parents during previous trips before, and I thought they were great, very kind and welcoming. This time, however, I found that his father was acting weird. Not outright rude, just kind of condescending, and at times it felt like he was acting like I was stupid or beneath him. He would roll his eyes when I spoke, talk over me, and sometimes flat out ignore me. I thought maybe I had done something to offend him, but something he said proved me wrong. My boyfriend was going through a Sudoku puzzle, and I was helping with the dishes. My boyfriend was struggling with it, and I was teasing him when his dad walked into the room. When he saw what was happening, he looked at me and sneered, "You couldn't even handle your engineering degree. Don't tell him how to solve this and focus on the dishes," or something like that. I was taken aback and told him I graduated with an engineering degree a couple of months ago. My boyfriend went bright red and pulled me aside. Apparently, he had been telling his family that he was the one with the engineering degree and I had switched to an English degree. He then got angry with me for saying that to his dad, as I should have caught on and not run my mouth. I was really angry about the lie, so I told him he was a coward and a coward for lying, and I left. I just felt really hurt over all the remarks and looks I had to deal with from his dad, and that he had been lying for 2 years. If he had told me at least, I might have gone along with it, but for some reason, he felt the need to lie to me too. I do feel bad, as now his dad is angry with him and kicked him out. It has been a week, and he refuses to speak with my boyfriend. I got a hotel and have been keeping contact over text. I have terrible social anxiety, and I cannot help but feel that had I read the situation better at that moment or taken more time to think before speaking, this fight would not have happened. I also hate that I was so mean to him, even though he just lied out of fear of his dad. Am I the asshole? I think you are not in the wrong here. Your boyfriend allowed his father to be rude and condescending towards you, which is egregious. He made you look worse to avoid trouble for himself, knowing his father thinks English degrees are worthless. Even if he didn't want his parents to know he switched majors, why drag your degree into it? He wasn't afraid for you to feel his father's disdain, showing a lack of respect and support. Am I the jerk for demanding my final 2 weeks' pay and annual leave after my boss fired me? I worked in fast food. My boss fired me for taking leftover food home when he never said we could not take any of the leftover food home. It gets thrown out at the end of the day. It all started because I asked if I would be entitled to a pay raise if I did a barista course since we made coffee and hot drinks. He left me on read and never replied to anything else I said to him that was work-related. 3 days later, he fired me without any warning. I went back the next day to get my pay since he paid the employees in cash, and my pay was not there, so I messaged him asking when I would get my pay. He never replied, of course. He messaged me a few days later saying that he would pay me, but I must come between 1:0 p.m. and 3:30 p.m., no later, as he had things to do. I went to collect my pay and had my boyfriend come with me. He told my boyfriend to leave as he wanted to talk to me alone. My boyfriend told my ex-boss that he was not going to leave as he could tell that I was uncomfortable. My ex-boss then said, "You can come back later when you are willing to talk to me alone if you want to get part of your pay," and then proceeded to slam the door in my face. I did not know what to do for the next few days. I decided to call up Fairworks on the following Monday. Everything that previously happened was within the last 2 weeks. They told me to write a letter of demand, demanding my 2 weeks' pay and my annual leave that I have accumulated over the time that I worked for him, which totaled about $2,700. I wrote the letter of demand and sent it on Thursday, which was exactly 2 weeks after being fired. He had 5 days to pay me everything that he owed me as per the legal laws behind the letter of demand in my country. He then proceeded to ignore the letter of demand, only paying me 1 week's pay 7 days after the letter of demand was sent to him. Before he actually paid me that 1 week's pay, he proceeded to yell at me for roughly 5 minutes. During that time, a civilian called security over. Security then came over and saw my ex-boss yelling at me, then slamming the door in my face before getting my pay and handing it to me. He told me that he would not be giving me my annual leave for a few weeks, as I apparently stated an amount that was way higher than what it actually was. It has currently been 5 days since that all happened. I am still waiting for my annual leave pay, and I am not sure what to do. Am I the asshole? You did nothing wrong here. It sounds like he fired you because he can't bully you, and you know your worth and your rights. Taking the food was a mistake, but it doesn't make you a jerk. Report him again and get a lawyer. It looks like your paycheck just had a few more zeros added to it. Would I be the jerk if I put a fence up to my property line? My husband and I bought a new build house in the summer last year. At the time, we didn't know that someone had purchased 5 houses on our street. Every other house on our street belongs to this person, and he rents them out. It has taken him a long time to get actual renters in the properties, so we didn't really think much of it until this summer. Our lot is the largest on our corner and looks kind of like a pie wedge, with our driveway out front being the tip and the broader piece in the back bumping up to a hill and city utility easement. Our neighbors to the right of us moved in about 4 months ago. They have a dog that they keep chained in the yard, and it breaks loose all the time. We installed cameras in the back because I have a reactive dog, and a few times we've been taking him out back on a leash, and the dog has come running up. There have almost been a few incidents. We've talked to the owner about it, but nothing has really changed. Now their children are playing in our yard all the time because the neighbors that moved in to the left of us also have kids. They ride their mini four-wheelers through the yard and have damaged the lawn sprinkler system. We talked to their parents and they said they would try to keep their kids out of our yard, but kids will be kids. They don't really listen, and I don't really feel like it's my place to go out there and tell them they need to get off our lawn. I asked a few fencing companies to take a look at how much it would cost us to put a fence up. Because of our property line, our fence would look like it was almost partially in their backyards. This has already been somewhat of an issue because the hill behind our development washed out and covered the lawns in mud. My husband has gone out to rake the mud once it dried, and the renters have complained about him being in their yard. The houses on either side of us have the smallest lots in our development. This would reduce the amount of yard space the children have, which makes me feel kind of bad. But I don't want to not have our fence to the property line, and the landlord later put fencing up to ours and essentially claimed those portions of our property in doing so. It seems like a headache. When I talked to a couple of friends about this, they mentioned that we might be the antagonists if we do this. I also don't want to become one of those homeowners association people who throws the book down anytime a conversation comes up with neighbors. I'd much rather get along with them than have any problems with anyone. But I'm also worried about my dogs and tired of replacing these sprinkler heads at my own cost. So, would I be the antagonist? Build the fence and make sure to get a proper survey done to avoid future issues. Your yard is your space, and it's not your problem if the neighbor's kids lose some play area. If having a larger yard is important to them, they can always find another home that meets their needs. Your dog deserves to run around freely in your yard, and it's perfectly reasonable to prioritize that. Am I the jerk for refusing to be the second option of their graduation ball? My girlfriend and I have been dating for 6 years, and we plan on getting married after I graduate from medical school. I graduate in 1.5 years. Last weekend was her graduation from medical school. During her ceremony, there was a moment for the graduates to perform a formal dance with 2 people of their choosing. The day before the event, my girlfriend had told me that she had decided with her mother that she would dance with her 2 brothers. It is common for the graduate to perform the dance with her father, but because her father is currently living abroad, one of her brothers would fill in for him. The other brother would also dance with her so that he isn't left out. When I was informed of this, I was naturally a little disappointed that my significant other hadn't chosen me to be a part of this special moment in her life. Nonetheless, I told her that I understood her reasoning. At the event, after the host announced the first dance, which is supposed to be with the father, it was time for the second dance. When the host announced the second dance, he said it should be with the love of your life. All the other graduates paired up with their significant others, while my girlfriend paired up with her brother. As the dance was taking place, my girlfriend's mother turned to me and said, "Sorry about this, it's only supposed to be 2 people, but you should go and switch places with him during the dance." At this point, I was visibly and emotionally hurt that I wasn't the one dancing with her. I refused to go in and be the second option. A couple of days have passed since her graduation. After a few conversations with her and her mother, they feel that I should have gone in to dance with her after her brother. In my mind, I didn't want to be the second option since I am the love of her life, and it should have been me dancing with her. So, am I the asshole for being upset I wasn't chosen as her first option to dance with her during her graduation? This story is seriously wild. Whoever decided that the dance should be the love of your life really sucks. Not everyone has found that person yet, and some might not even be able to bring someone. It makes traditional graduation ceremonies seem pretty straightforward in comparison. Am I the jerk for not letting my father-in-law's girlfriend around my baby? Am I the asshole for not letting my father-in-law's girlfriend around my child? I, a 23-year-old female, have been married to my 21-year-old male husband for 3 years, and we have a 9-month-old child. Last May, when I was 5 months pregnant, my mother-in-law died. It was hard on everyone and devastating. Less than 2 months later, my father-in-law moved a new girlfriend into his house. My husband and I thought this was too soon, but remained respectful and civil to her. She met my daughter once, held her because she asked, and all was fine. Since then, she has messaged me on Facebook, insisting I have girls' days with her and get pedicures like I used to do with my mother-in-law. I was kind in explaining that I did not feel ready and didn't know if I ever would anytime soon. She kept insisting and friending me over and over, so I stopped responding. It became obvious very early that she has an alcohol addiction. My husband looked her up online and found a record of driving while drunk. We told his dad about it. Since then, she has harassed us, saying she is suing for defamation and getting my police officer father fired for looking up her record, despite the fact that my husband got it off a public records website and has a receipt. She's flown off the handle on us a couple of times now, totally unprovoked after drinking. She recently grabbed my father-in-law's phone in the early hours of the morning and started blowing up my phone, cussing me out, saying horrible stuff, and threatening me. At first, I thought it was my father-in-law, but then he called me later in the day and told me to never answer a text from him ever again because he couldn't guarantee it was not her pretending to be him. My husband and I, because of this explosive behavior, created a stipulation that when my father-in-law came over to see our daughter, we didn't want her coming along. Now we just avoid family gatherings because we know she will be there. My father-in-law never comes around anymore. I've heard she threatens their relationship over him seeing us without her present, but I can't say for sure if this is true. Am I the asshole for not wanting her around our child? Or us for that matter? My family is divided on this. Some think we are driving a wedge between the grandfather and granddaughter. You did nothing wrong here. Keeping a sloppy drunk away from your child doesn't make you a jerk. It makes you a good parent. Your children and their safety should come first over trying to make Phil's life easier. If he's falling into an abusive relationship with this woman, maintaining the connection with him is crucial so he knows he has your relationship to fall back on. Am I the jerk for not giving my sibling a +1 to my wedding? Hi Reddit, I am a 25-year-old female, a winter 2024 bride, and I am marrying the absolute love of my life. My sister and I have always had an interesting relationship. Most sisters would know, one day you start fighting because she wore your clothes, and the next day you're having Dunkin' together, typically sisterly things. My sister has always been, to put it frankly, a pick-me girl. She has no friends that are women because, as she says, she sees them as competition, and she likes to be friends with boys. She will only date rich men and refuses to settle for less. My sister has not had a relationship last longer than 2 months, and she always has a new guy on her shoulder. My mother and fiancé were recently talking about this before I sent out my invitations. I had mentioned that since our venue was on the smaller side, we didn't want strangers at our wedding, nor did we want them in our wedding photos. My mom had made a comment about how anyone my sister would bring would be a fling, since she currently was not in a relationship. When we went home that night, I brought it up to my fiancé, we'll call him Bertram. I told Bertram that I really did not want a complete stranger in our wedding pictures, and certainly not someone my sister would only have been dating a few weeks, maybe a month. Well, just this past week, Bertram and I sent out our wedding invitations and they read, "We have reserved seats S in your name." For example, for my fiancé's family, theirs read, "We have reserved 4 seat S in your name." She called me and told me that it was not fair that she could not bring a +1. I mentioned to her that she didn't have the best track record with men, and that Bertram and I really didn't want some random person nobody would talk about in our wedding pictures. She said that I was selfish, and that since our wedding was towards the end of December, the 29th, she had 6 months to find a boyfriend, and that it would be a serious relationship. Here I might have gotten mean, but I told her I would seriously doubt if she found anyone, given her track record for the absolutely worst men alive. She got upset, hung up, and said she will be attending my wedding with a boyfriend of 4+ months because she will find one. Am I the asshole for not giving her a +1? And would I be an asshole for considering uninviting her altogether? For the last time, you don't have to invite anyone to your wedding just because someone expects it. Can't she bring a +1 and only she appears in family photos? Just like people are free to take that invitation and respond to it how they see fit, you did nothing wrong here. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.